What's going on, people? We are Tottenham TV, back here for another afternoon Tottenham. Good afternoon, Tottenham. A lot to get through. As soon as we left the studio last night, everything went into overdrive. Literally all the reliable sources coming out. It was literally mental last night. I couldn't get away from my phone. I was refreshing Twitter literally every second.
Yeah, but funnily enough,
get away from it.
It all happened, but yet we're still in the same situation
Literally
this morning.
In the exact same situation as
It's
we
kind of
were.
come full circle to literally where we left off yesterday.
Classic Spurs transfer window. It's literally classic Spurs transfer window. It's just frustrating, isn't it? I was very skeptical of the Luis Diaz stuff yesterday, and to be honest, with all the news coming out now, I think I've been proved right, to be honest. But I don't think any Spurs fan in their right mind weren't somewhat skeptical of
Yeah, of course.
the deal yesterday.
Definitely. Like, we could see that, look, we'll get into the whole deal in a minute, but it's classic Tottenham. It's literally right at the Levy handbook, isn't it? And you've seen it come. It's got to a stage where when we're linked to with a good deal like that, majority of the fan base now think it's a smokescreen for and a PR move, and people see it for what it is at the moment.
Definitely. But before we get into the transfer news, we've also got a special guest to come on to tell us more about Sofyan Amrabat. But before we get into that, I've got something we've just received just now. Literally, I want to show you guys. It is our 100k plaque. Unbelievable. I'm just so happy with the smile on our faces looking at it. If you go on to the other camera and just zoom in on it.
Who's getting us that one?
That one. Do you want to hold it then?
All right, look at that. Look at that beauty.
Look at that.
There you go. This is all down to you guys. This is all down to every single one of you. Look at that one. Presented to We Are Tottenham TV for passing 100,000 subscribers, and it couldn't have happened without all of you. Honestly, thank you again. It's another moment for us to just show our appreciation to all you guys and say thank you very much for all your support and for getting us to this point. We wouldn't be able to be doing to be showing this plaque without every single one of you subscribing and showing the love and showing support and interacting with the channel and showing how much you love the videos. And yeah, here you go. Absolutely brilliant stuff.
Yeah.
100,000.
Absolutely. I mean, even though we broke this like at the beginning of January, it's still mind-blowing to me. It really is. So again, thank you to all of you guys out there. But I think it's time to get on to some transfer news. We'll just leave this on the table just there so you guys can have a look. But let's start off. Where shall we start off? Let's start off with a couple of updates of what's going to be happening over the next few days. Miguel Delaney last night said numerous sources have been talking of an intense last 2 days at Tottenham as the club attempt to do at least 6 deals, both coming and going this window. Antonio Conte has been demanding upgrades to his Tottenham squad. Romano broke last night that Tottenham are very, very busy at the moment. And Dan Kilpatrick, as of about 10-15 minutes ago, says that Tottenham are expected to be one of the top flight's busiest clubs in the final week of the transfer window as chairman Daniel Levy and managing director Fabio Paratici frantically attempt to act on Conte's recommendations. I mean, why do they have to wait until 6 days to go to bloody act on his recommendations? It just drives me up the wall, man.
He's been driving us up the wall for many, many decades. That's the truth. That's the truth about how Levy likes to operate. It's been the same ever since he took charge, and it continues to be that way. Like we heard about Conte having that meeting earlier in the month. We heard about Levy going to that boat in Bahamas to meet Joe Lewis earlier in the month, and yet we're now day 26 of the window, 5 days left, and only now we're starting to act on everything. Now we're frantically acting to get Conte what he wants. But like, why? Why are we doing it just now? Why couldn't we have prepared for this? Why couldn't we plan for January? You see other clubs making moves a lot earlier in the window. Why do we always have to be reactive? Why is it we have this kind of I don't know, it's like this complex. It's like inferiority complex. If we act too quickly, then other teams are going to poach our targets, or it won't work out. But we just never act quickly. We never ever do. We have to wait till the last minute, and it leaves us scrambling around. It leaves us always in a frantic panic. But part of me feels like this is just how Levy likes it. This is what he lives for. Yeah, I feel like he just loves the late rush.
Fine, you might like the late rush, but at least like this late rush leaves us down in the dirt every single transfer window. We don't get what we want because we leave it too late every single time. So surely you would think about it, be like, you know what, let's improve on what we did last time. Let's do it different to what we did last time.
He never learns.
Never learns from his mistakes, which is the most frustrating thing about it all. We've got a lot of news to talk about today. We're going to take you through the timelines from last night to this morning. And let's move on and let's talk about Luis Diaz. He's the name on everyone's lips at the moment. Yesterday, we heard from Sky Sports and a lot of reliable sources that Tottenham have tabled a bid for Luis Diaz. Tottenham and Porto are in talks over Luis Diaz. Sources in Portugal have told Sky Sports News that Spurs are willing to pay 45 million euros plus 10 million euros in performance-related add-ons, but Porto are holding out for 60 million euros. All this started from a source in Portugal that we did bring to you yesterday, saying that Tottenham have tabled a bid, and I believe that is true. Tottenham did table a bid, but it's nowhere near the kind of asking price. I mean, he's got a release clause of around 80 million euros. We're not willing to go anywhere near that. Glongari said last night that Porto have asked Tottenham to pay the release clause if they wish to sign the player. Ali Gold says that Luis Diaz has plenty of admirers at Tottenham. Paratici has opened talks with Porto and the players' representatives about a possibility of bringing him to North London this month and pairing him up with a mouth-watering front three of Harry Kane and Heung-min Son. The Guardian said that Tottenham have had a £37.6 million bid rejected by Porto. But then Miguel and Delaney gave us a little bit of hope, saying that there is a feeling that a deal can be done. And then Jogo, I think this was this morning now, says that Tottenham offer for Luis Diaz is way below the release clause that Porto are asking for. And also the Tottenham deal doesn't seduce the player. So apparently he might not be interested, but that's according to Jogo. Don't know how reliable they are. Record Portugal, another publication in Portugal, says that Daniel Levy does not intend to go beyond the figures he first offered for Luis Diaz, meaning the transfer is now very unlikely to happen. And then the latest update is from Dan Kilpatrick that says Tottenham face an uphill struggle to sign Luis Diaz, with the clubs currently some way apart in their evaluation of the player. The potential deal for Luis Diaz is further complicated by Porto's only own 80% of his registration, which gives us terrible memories of the Paulo Dybala deal.
I swear, but it's happened with a load of other players as well that we never get over the line because of all these registration malarkey and all this business.
It feels like we only go for players that have particular problems that we can't get over the line.
Just so we have an excuse later in the day when it all falls apart. I mean, for me, this Luis Diaz thing. First of all, as much as I think he's a great player, in terms of like the kind of player he is, he definitely prefers to play on the left-hand side, and we have at the moment Son who plays there, and we have Bergwijn who plays there. I'd much prefer a player who's more natural on the right-hand side, but I'm not going to complain getting a good quality player in there.
If he was to come in, do you think that shifts Sonny over to the right?
Yeah, I'm not sure if he would go over to the right or if Sonny would. It would be or maybe they just rotate. I don't know what the case would be. It'd be interesting to see how Conte deals with that. I also think Diaz has the finishing ability to maybe play in a 2 up top. He could be recoached in that way, the same way that Sonny's moved over from the left to a forward position. I think Diaz could definitely do that as well. But when it comes to the deal itself, it just seems way too complicated to get over the line. We've bid 37 million. That's been rejected. They want 66. Like I reckon there's probably a fee that is acceptable in between that. But whether Tottenham are willing to go that high, you're probably looking at 50 million here.
Yeah,
55 million maybe.
George Bannister was talking last night, and a few other publications also saying that there was a 15 million difference in the asking price of Porto and what Spurs are kind of offering. If that is the case, and it is just a 15 million price difference, and we're really serious about getting in, you pay that money. You pay that money.
Yeah, but we're not. We're not serious about it. We're just doing it. We're doing it for show. Every time we go in for a player like this, it always happens every single time. We're always 5 or 10 million difference, and then that's the sticking point, and then we don't go any further. Why do every time we go for a player of high quality, we always value them like at least 5 million lower than what the club wants? And I know it's always a give and take. But it always seems to be the stubbornness of Levy preventing us going for these deals, and I can't see this getting over the line. I don't think it's a case of I don't see as much as I think Luis Diaz would come to Tottenham. I don't see him rocking the boat to move to Tottenham at this current time. I don't think he would be so desperate that we could get him to rock the boat at Porto so they lower their fee. I don't think that would be the case. I think he's probably quite happy there. They're obviously in a title challenge. Are they still in the Champions League? I can't remember if they're still in the Champions League. Or
I'm not sure.
I remember they were in the same group as AC Milan, I think, early in the season. I can't remember anyway. They're obviously going for a title out in Portugal.
They're not still in it because I think Milan, Atletico Madrid and Liverpool were in their group.
That was it. I remember he scored the winner against AC Milan earlier.
They finished third, so in Europa League.
So it's on Tottenham to stump up the money. Ali Gold yesterday. Let me get this tweet out because I thought it was quite telling, but also quite obvious what direction it was heading in. He said, going to be fascinating with Luis Diaz. Spurs have been in this position before and not pushed hard enough to bridge the gap in valuation to sign a top-class player. This will be the first real test under Conte to see whether they can learn from their past mistakes. And I have very little faith that we will. Very little faith that we will add that extra few million, push the boat out a bit more and get him over the line. I just feel like this is written for Tottenham to come out of this deal and say it was too complicated, they wanted too much money, and it'll go by the wayside. I don't believe for us. I reckon we thought what's probably the situation from what I've read is we thought that Porto are desperate for money because they need to satisfy the FFP. They need whatever X amount of millions in through January, so we thought we could get him a bit cheaper. So we underbid him for about 37 million. We thought, okay, we maybe they'll accept it. They haven't accepted it, and I don't know how much further we're going to go up. That's not how Levy does things. He doesn't like to go too much higher than the original. I mean, right now we're haggling over a few million for Adama, and I'm expected to believe we're going to go to 55 million for Luis Diaz.
Yeah, exactly.
Like I can't see it.
It's a joke. I mean, it's the same thing every single year. Don't get it. That's why I was so negative about it yesterday. It's because you know the way it's going to play out every time. You just know. And it's just so frustrating. It's just so frustrating. And if we now don't get anyone of substance anyway, let's say we just get Amrabat in from now to the end of the window, everyone's going to be up in arms. It's going to be a terrible window if that's the case. I mean, we've been hearing all window Adama's going to come in, and that's gone completely quiet now. That's gone completely quiet. I mean, even Simon Stone just came out recently on Adama and says there's no progress at all, Adama to Spurs. So that one's gone completely quiet. The only one that it looks like at the moment that's going to get over the line is Amrabat. It's the only one.
Yeah, I know, and that's the most depressing thing. But sticking on Luis Diaz, the reports that 80% of his registration is owned by Porto, and that means we're probably going to have to pay even more money to release him from the registration and own 100% of him. We must have known about that before. This can't be a surprise.
Well, no one at Spurs ever does their due diligence and looks into players properly about what it actually takes to sign the player. Ever. This situation comes up way too often, and why it never comes up for any other clubs.
But it must be something we're aware of when we're bidding for a player. We can't think that we're a £1 billion company. Yeah, with Levy values Tottenham over £3 billion,
multi-billion pounds.
Exactly. Company. So I'm expected to believe that when they go into a business deal like this, that they're not all fully aware of what they're trying to buy. Surely they are. Yeah. And I think that's why I don't believe at all when those Portugal reports saying Luis Diaz doesn't want to come to Tottenham. I don't believe that for a second, because I don't think we make a bid unless there's signs that he wants to come. I don't think we make a bid unless we've definitely spoken to his agent. That's how transfers work these days. No way have we made a bid without knowing whether he wants to come or not. I don't think that's possible. So I think there's definitely an indication he'd be interested in coming. I don't believe that, but surely we would have known about this 80%. And if that's true, then that 37 million is a complete underbid, because they have to bid even more to get him over the line.
Yeah. Spot on. There's a super chat here from Ryland1738 saying, feels like this Diaz deal is just a smokescreen on the Amrabat deal. Levy has just seen the fans' reaction, is now trying to get them off his back. What'd you say to that?
Sorry, one sec. Yeah, I mean, we've seen it before, haven't we, with Levy? Yeah. It's happened so many times where, like yesterday with the whole Amrabat news and the Adama news, it was the deal was stagnating. The fans were starting to get a lot of very vocal, starting to get on his back, and then all this news about Luis Diaz comes out, and all of a sudden people start getting excited again. We've seen it 100 times. How many times have we seen a PR move on deadline day where we make a completely stupid bid for a player, which is never going to be accepted, and the player probably doesn't even want to come, and then the deal never happens, and then we're left on deadline day thinking, we tried to get these players in, but it didn't happen deadline day. We're just going to have to move forward with Lou Saha. Like, it's happened so many times. It's happened time and time again, and it's really frustrating that we have Paratici and Conte here, two very ambitious people who've been very used to being at clubs who have a winning mentality and breeding a winning mentality and getting what they want.
Needs.
And Paratici especially, he's very much been of the he's very much said that in the summer, he said one of the most important things he learned from being sporting director at Juventus was, if you're 100% convinced on a player and you're arguing over a few million, you pay the money, because it's more worth paying the money than not getting the player if you're 100% convinced on him. And that's always been the downfall of Daniel Levy. And yet, it appears a lot. Look, the window's not finished yet. We've still got 5 days left. But right now, as of the 26th of January, it appears to be the same thing happening again and again.
Yeah, exactly. And when I heard those quotes from Paratici, that's what got me really excited. It got me really excited, those kind of words from Paratici, because then you're thinking, right, maybe something is changing at Tottenham. But at the moment, as it stands, it seems as though everything is just the same. But that's the kind of situation where we are with Luis Diaz at the moment. Let's move on and talk about Sofyan Amrabat of Fiorentina, a player that can't get into the Fiorentina scene, by the way. Ali Gold says Tottenham pair Conte and Paratici are both believed to like Amrabat. Guardians say Amrabat is Antonio Conte's preferred midfield option, which I don't buy for a second. L'Equipe say Amrabat to Tottenham is almost complete. And Romano says that Sofyan Amrabat to Tottenham is at an advanced stage, but not done deal yet. Antonio Conte and Paratici both want him. Spurs are waiting to complete Ndombele deal before Amrabat comes in with a loan with a buy option. The player's side is not a problem. He only wants Spurs. because Spurs are his only option.
Yeah, obviously. Of course he wants Tottenham. He's on the bench for Fiorentina. No
I
one
laughed
wants
so
him.
hard when I saw that from Romano. It's like, he only wants Spurs. Yeah, he only wants Spurs because Spurs are his only option.
Apparently he played. I didn't watch the game, but apparently he played for Morocco last night against Malawi in a 2-1 win. And from what some people were messaging me saying, we're having a keen eye on him, and they apparently looked very, very, very average. That's what they were saying. Take of that what you will. But we keep hearing reports that Paratici and Conte is their preferred option, which I can't believe that to be the case. Surely,
bullshit.
Yeah, it can't be the case.
Bullshit.
I don't.
If he was our preferred option, why is now the first time we're ever hearing about him?
I don't doubt that by all accounts, apparently at Hellas Verona, he was a very good player, and that's why he got a big move to Fiorentina, and it hasn't worked out since he got
Player of the Year in Serie A that year.
That was a few years ago, and I'm sure maybe
20 season.
Maybe Paratici knew him from then, and maybe Conte knows him from when his time in Serie A last season, and maybe they do like him. I'm not going to say this guy is completely useless just because.
He can't get into the Fiorentina.
Yeah, right now. I don't know the circumstance. Apparently, it's not football related. I'm reading, and it's to do with other circumstances, so whatever. But no way is he the preferred option. I don't believe that for a second. I do not, because if we were so desperate to get this guy in, if he was a number one target, we would have got him in right at the beginning of January. We would have been certain about it. Because this guy is not wanted by his club. No one else wants him. He's sitting on the bench. He's rotting away this season. There's no reason to wait till the end of January for this move. Adama Traore is a bit different. Wolves are using him. Wolves he's played a few games for them, even though we want to buy him. It's a bit different. For this guy, we could have easily got him in at the beginning of January. There's no reason to wait till the end of the window. It stinks of Levy and just Tottenham in general, waiting till the end of the window to make their moves, then scrambling around to see who's available. And when this guy comes about, maybe they've got an opportunity. Conte's like, look, I mean, if there's no one else, I'll take him, kind of thing.
That's the situation right there. That is the situation.
That's probably
right
it. That's probably it.
He is not our number one target. The only reason they want him is because they know they're not getting anyone else.
Yeah,
that's the only reason.
So when it comes to preferred, when they say preferred target,
it's preferred to no one. Yeah,
exactly. That's what it is. That's the feeling I get. I don't believe for a second that Conte wants a player right now who hasn't played for 6 months pretty much, and he's struggling for form and struggling to get into the Fiorentina team, and hasn't had the best of time of it for the past couple of years. Why would he be desperate to bring that player in right now? It doesn't make sense to me. So it seems to me like. Just a transfer of convenience.
You're talking about a team who are 7th in Serie A, and this guy can't even get a start. He's had one start the whole season, limited to 10 sub appearances the whole season. I mean, that's half their games only he's appeared in as substitute. That's only half the games. I mean, there is no chance this guy was anywhere near our number one target. The only reason they want him, like I said, is because they can't get anyone else, or they won't get anyone else. Mm-hmm. And it just stinks. The whole thing stinks. And I at the moment, it looks like this is the only guy that's close to coming in. And
it's the easiest deal to do.
And when you're taking Ndombele out of the squad and bringing him in, yes, fine, Ndombele doesn't have the attitude, but in terms of just the quality of the player alone, I mean, bloody hell, that's a massive downgrade, isn't it?
Yeah, I mean, in terms of ability, it definitely is. Obviously, by all accounts, this guy is a very solid in terms of he works very hard. That's what everyone's saying. He's a very hard worker. He's not one of these players who's going to be a massive liability, although he does make a lot of fouls. He's a player on the ball, likes to do a lot of pressures. He's apparently a very decent passer of the ball. He likes to progress the ball up. He likes to progress the play up from deep, which is maybe a player that we could use. But in terms of ability, we're losing so much ability in Ndombele. Obviously, it hasn't worked out with him and Conte. Conte doesn't want him, so fair enough. But we need to add proper ability to the team.
The same profile of player as Harry Winks or a Skip.
That's what they say. They say he's a cross between Højbjerg. Actually, I read an article saying he's a cross between Skip and Winks.
Well, there you go. I mean, with the same profile of what we already got. You know what I mean? Why aren't we bringing in someone that, you know, that will add something to the squad, not something that we've already got?
Yeah, I don't know. One sec. What's going on here? So I'm just trying to send the link. I'm really not excited about this potential deal, and I'm hoping that it seems as though this is going to happen though. And maybe he can prove us wrong. You know, obviously I'm gonna give him a chance. I'm not gonna like.
He can, but you know, everyone's saying it stinks of Stambouli, it stinks of Jedson Fernandez, and I'm sorry, but it does. It just seems as though it's the exact same kind of signing as those two guys.
It does. I mean, it clearly is. Clearly, I mean that's obvious to me that he wasn't our first choice, and it's just an opportunity. Also, the agent, he's got like similar. He's got the same agent as Ben Davies or something, and that also could play into it. So. It's frustrating that we're selling Lo Celso, Dele, and Ndombele and bringing him in, but this is where we're at the moment. When you leave it so late, this is what we're left with.
And especially as Newcastle look to get this Bruno Guimaraes over the line.
Even that, he's not even that expensive.
You know what I mean? How can Newcastle attract this player and we're going for this Sofyan Amrabat? This Amrabat is a player that I expect maybe Watford to sign. You know what I mean? Mm-hmm. Like this Bruno Guimaraes is a proper top talent out of the French league in Lyon right now. And Arsenal have been interested in him. We've been linked with him in the past. And he's going to go to Newcastle, fighting for relegation. Surely we can do something there because he is a much, much bigger talent than this Amrabat guy is.
It depends how much money we're going to offer. That's the thing. It
comes down to, isn't it?
Yeah, look, also, let's not be around the bush. We're getting this guy on loan. There's no money involved in terms of a transfer fee. Maybe it'll be an option to buy, but there's no outlay. So maybe it's another that must, because when you say midfield preferred option, think about all the midfielders we can get right now on loan for no fee for 6 months with no transfer offer. So if Paratici's been given a budget, okay, you get a midfielder in, but you can't pay any money, then I'm sure he is the preferred option.
Why? I don't understand why we're not going for someone like Gigi Wijnaldum. That doesn't make sense to me on a loan deal for the rest of the season.
Maybe we are, but apparently he wants to stay. I don't know the ins and outs.
Well, anyway, look, we've got a special guest waiting for us.
Yeah, should we bring one now?
Yeah, seeing as we're on topic of Sofyan Amrabat, we've got special guest, Mr. Jack Farr. He came and spoke to us a while back when Spurs were linked with Fonseca. Obviously, that never happened, so hopefully this doesn't happen as well. But let's see what he has to say about Sofyan Amrabat. Let's bring him on. Jack, how you doing, mate?
Welcome back to the channel, Jack.
You're on mute.
He's on mute. I think he's on mute. Is that our end? It might be his end.
Thank you very much, guys. First of all,
yeah, we can hear you now. No, we can hear you now. Oh, it's a bit of a lag. Sorry, there's a bit of a lag.
One sec. Where's the remote? Now I can't hear him now.
We can't hear him. Is it our end or is it his end?
You hear me, you guys?
Jack, can you do me a favour? Can you just reconnect because there seems to be a big lag?
All right, yeah, let's get him to reconnect, and then we'll bring him back on straight away.
All right, we'll bring him back on. There is a super chat here from F Reader saying, to be honest, I'm a bit hesitant about talents from France. Yeah, I get that, to be honest. I do get that. But this guy, I mean, I don't know if you saw, there was a video from I think it was The Athletic that did it, from Tifo, and they did targets for Spurs, and they did a very in-depth analysis on him, and he looks brilliant. He really does.
Yeah, and he's obviously been killing it for Lyon this season. He seems to be exactly the kind of player that we need as well. He has a bit of quality, but also that defensive nous about him. So definitely a player we should be looking in. But at the moment, it looks as though we're getting an Amrabat who's, again, it's just a player who we're hoping is a lot better than he's been showing right now, and it's going to be unlikely knowing the past, isn't it? So, I mean, we'll see. We'll see how it all plays out. It looks like it's going to happen though, on loan. But from a Tottenham point of view, from a Levy point of view, it's very low risk because he's not paying any money. He's getting a guy who it's low risk and high reward if it plays off. And if he doesn't pay off, then we're letting him. We're not keeping him anyway. So that's why we're seeing it.
It's stupid. This guy is desperate to get back in the Champions League to get this Champions League revenue. If you're going to buy this kind of players, you're not going to get Champions League football. You're going to be, you're going to end up in where you belong with these kind of players at the end of the day. And if we sign 3 players now that can propel us into the Champions League, he's going to see all this money back. He's going to see all this money back. So I just don't understand it. Just stresses me out so much. I think Jack is back with us. Just give us a second and we will bring him back on. All right, Jack is back with us. Jack, how are we doing?
Good. Can you hear me?
Yeah, all good now.
Much better now.
Okay, good. I think my laptop might have been messing me up there, so here we are. I'm on the phone.
No worries. How are we today?
Yeah, very, very well. First of all, big congratulations on the 100K. That's a serious achievement. Much. So very impressive.
Thank you so much.
And just quickly before we start, you got Mourinho in charge. And you still have all your hair. How's things going?
things are fine. I think from our conversation last time, I think you guys will probably remember that the problems at Roma run far deeper than the manager. So while Paulo Fonseca had a lot of my sympathies, Di Francesco had a lot of my sympathies, Mourinho also has a lot of my sympathies, and there are some bright sparks. So I'm staying optimistic.
Yeah, good. I mean, I'm seeing a lot of fire from Mourinho on the touchlines. I'm loving his interviews as well. But that's just what you get with Jose Mourinho. And you know what? I like seeing it from afar. I just didn't like seeing it within our own club, to be honest.
Right.
But let's talk about Sofyan Amrabat. Obviously, he's been heavily linked with Spurs. A lot of reliable sources saying the deal is very close to being done. What can you tell me about him? Because there's a lot of anxiety in the Spurs fan base about bringing him in. I mean, from what we know, we haven't seen him play a lot, but we know that he's not getting in the Fiorentina side. He's limited to very few substitute appearances. Only had one, start this season, but in the past he has been a very highly rated talent coming through. So what can you tell me about him?
He's a role player. I think this is the main kind of takeaway, and I know that's probably the last thing that you guys want to hear, but this is a guy, I think I mentioned this to you guys in DMs when we were chatting recently. The kind of player comparison I would use is somebody like Jordan Henderson. Jordan Henderson is not going to blow you away with, fantastic technical ability, tactical ability, or anything like that. He's a hard worker and he does a job. And if he's given instructions by somebody like Antonio Conte, you'd imagine he can fulfill that role. I think the appeal of somebody like Sofyan Amrabat to somebody like Conte, when Conte tells him to do something, he's probably going to do it down to kind of the finest details. Whereas somebody like maybe Lo Celso, maybe somebody like Tanguy and Ndombele, maybe they're not going to follow those instructions. Maybe they're going to be kind of more of a maverick. Whereas Amrabat, I think about him in that kind of military sense. He's a little bit of a soldier. If we're talking about Conte as the general, then I think Amrabat is just going to be one of his soldiers,
Yeah, and okay, that's fair enough. But why do you think why has it gone so wrong for him at Fiorentina of late? Why is he getting one start this whole season? I mean, I've heard it's not football related, but can you shed any more light as to what's happened there?
No, I mean, realistically, if we're kind of talking about the, I mention this often. I know it's kind of using American parlance somewhat, but if we talk about football in kind of a depth chart sense, if that makes sense, he just has like better players, who are around him. I mean, Lucas Torreira is a better player than Sofyan Amrabat. Somebody like Bonaventura is obviously a real kind of talisman for this Fiorentina team, and he is a better player than Amrabat. And then even some of the other guys, just looking here, you've obviously got role players who kind of fill in that third position. And one thing I think you guys mentioned before about why the deal hasn't been done yet, he is at the African Cup of Nations. And, I've not been watching him religiously in that tournament, obviously. I've not been watching that tournament religiously. But supposedly, I think this was Fabrizio Romano tweeting this, he's having a good tournament. So maybe that kind of piqued their interest there a little bit. But yeah, Joseph Alfred Duncan, comes in, makes the odd kind of appearances as well. Yusuf Maleh as well. These are a couple of African Italian type guys who've just kind of come through and retained some places. The main takeaway for me, those guys I've just mentioned, I guarantee like most of the people watching, maybe even you guys, haven't heard of. And if these guys are getting more appearances than somebody like Sofyan Amrabat, it's quite telling. I think if we're talking 8 to 10 million, then he's going to come off the bench and kind of do as he's told. I don't think you can shout at that in terms of value, but in terms of where Spurs want to be, I mean, fourth is there for you guys to take if you want it. It just depends if you want it or not. And Sofyan Amrabat is not a signing that is going to take that fourth position.
But I saw there was a graphic I saw on Twitter yesterday that in the ratings for Player of the Year, I think a couple of years ago, Amrabat for Hellas Verona finished third in the whole of Serie A for Player of the Year. So he clearly had a very good season. So is there a player there in him that could maybe be the player that we want him to be?
Not in my opinion. Purely because we talk about this a lot. The best goalkeepers in the world don't have the most saves because they play for the best teams, right? When you're a midfielder like Sofyan Amrabat and your main kind of best traits and abilities are being a nuisance, right? Getting around the pitch, trying to disrupt the opposition from playing. Those are kind of traits that would suit Hellas Verona, right? They would suit a kind of lower level team who are trying to be dogged and are trying to get a result that they don't really deserve, kind of like an underdog. If you're then moving up the ranks, Fiorentina, okay, we're not talking about Juve here, but if we're moving up to a Fiorentina level, which is, pushing for those Europa League spots year in and year out, you're going to be replaced by technically better football players, a Bonaventura, Lucas Torreira. The exact same thing with Spurs. We're not looking at some kind of dogged central midfielder that's needed here. You need a player with more quality because as a better football team, you're going to be dominating the ball more. So, like I said, you can talk about a goalkeeper having a great year if they're, I don't know, Norwich's goalkeeper or Watford's goalkeeper because they make more saves. But we all know the better goalkeepers don't have to make as good as saves because they play for the better teams and they don't concede so many shots.
I mean, you telling us he's not as good of a player as Lucas Torreira, I mean, that definitely rings alarm bells. But when you're looking at the Spurs midfield, right, you're talking about Lo Celso and Ndombele, who can't follow the instructions of Antonio Conte, and they've got the kind of potential X factor going forward with their creative roles. But when you're looking at the midfield that we've got right now in Højbjerg, Skip, Winks, is he not a bit too similar to these kind of players?
He's a bit of a bigger man, so I want to say he's like 6'1", so he's a little bit more physically imposing. I think Højbjerg is absolutely nailed in. I think it's very clear to see that Conte loves Pierre-Emile Højbjerg, as I do. I think he's absolutely fantastic. But for Winks and somebody like, I don't know, Oliver Skip as well, I just think that this is a very good, cheap alternative to maybe build a foundation where he can rely on Højbjerg and one other. And then maybe somebody like Sofyan Amrabat can come off the bench and try and, shore up a result. That would be my guess. I think as fans, we're always looking for the X Factor guys, right? But if you're Antonio Conte, realistically, you're just trying to win football matches. And if you're trying to send on somebody and it's like, this is what I need you to do, and then on the pitch you don't see it, I think there's a great deal of frustration in that. What I would say to you guys is, if Amrabat comes in and starts, I would be amazed. I would be absolutely amazed. This, to me, just reeks of a guaranteed sub in nearly every single game to either, shore up a result that's already there or to cause some disruption and win the ball back and then let your attacking players flourish by kind of creating that foundation. But yeah, I mean, I don't want to, I don't know if I'm allowed to swear, but I don't want to, bleep all over this guy. But this is not the caliber of signing befitting of Tottenham Hotspur, even as a sub, really. I mean, you guys, I think, referenced it earlier. I think it's 1 start and 10 substitute appearances. Yeah, he's been away at the African Cup of Nations, but realistically, this guy has not really suffered tremendously with injuries. He's been available most of the time. There are just 3 or 4 midfielders who are getting in the team ahead of him right now.
And I know it's a deal that at this point looking unlikely to happen, but it looks like we were looking to get Frank Kessie in January, but it looks like that deal is going to be off, seeing as it appears that we agreed a deal with AC Milan, but his agent wants to wait till the summer.
Hasn't he agreed to deal with Barcelona?
Those are rumours. There's nothing concrete there, but how much of a coup would it be if Tottenham in the summer would get someone like Frank Kessie in for you?
Oh, unbelievable. This is one of the best, this is one of the best, forget Serie A, this is one of the best midfielders in the world. I think it's very easy, maybe it's subconsciously racist, I don't know. But I think it's very easy to look at an African central midfielder and just picture this like destroyer, right? Frank Kessie is so much more than that. Frank Kessie is an intelligent football player, technically very, very, very sound. And he can do it all, incredible motor on him as well. You mentioned it already. Being linked with the likes of Barcelona is absolutely no shock to me. That would be a fantastic fit for Spurs and also for somebody like Antonio Conte. So, if I was in their position, I'd be pushing for him very, very hard, certainly more than Sofyan Amrabat. But look, he's played well to deserve the interest from, no disrespect to Spurs, but these all-time elite clubs like your Barcelonas, Real Madrids, etc., etc. So it's no surprise to me that he'd be linked to these clubs. But it would shock me if that's not been a serious consideration for Antonio Conte and Fabio Paratici.
Yeah, well, look, thanks for easing our fears about Sophie and Amrabat. No, not so much. No, but thanks for giving us some more insight that we wouldn't have. So, yeah, thank you for that. And I'd just like to say good luck for the remainder of the season with Jose Mourinho.
And a few people have been asking, by the way, if there's a YouTube channel they could find you on there. You're more than welcome to go ahead and plug wherever you want to plug.
Yeah, well, absolutely. Well, as I mentioned to you guys, 100K subscribers is incredibly impressive. So I appreciate the opportunity to use your platform. Guys, Box to Box Football. It's me and my buddy James. We went to UCFB and studied. He did coaching and management. I did international football business at an undergraduate degree level, and we just talk all things football. Try and find things to disagree on. Tier lists, all this kind of good stuff. So yeah, Box to Box Football on YouTube. Thanks for the Roma support. I'm still kind of in the stages of just tempering my expectations and hoping in 2 years' time to be talking to you guys with a bigger smile on my face.
Well, best of luck, and best of luck for the Conference League as well. Now I can support Jose Mourinho because we're not in it anymore. So good luck to you guys, and thanks a lot for coming on.
Yeah, I'd rather not be in it. Thank you very much, you guys. See you next time.
See you, Jack. Great call from Jack, as always. Super chat here from Rob Wallace saying, I like this Jack. Far talks sense. Come on, you Spurs.
And if you want to subscribe, I've just posted the link to his YouTube channel in the chat. So go ahead and subscribe. Always talking sense, Jack, and always love having him on the channel.
Definitely. Great insight into the Italian league with Jack. But let's move on. Let's talk about Dele Alli. There's been an update on him from Ali Gold, and apparently there is some interest mounting up for Dele Alli at the moment. Southampton, Everton and Newcastle have shown interest in Dele in recent weeks, with Brighton also said to be monitoring his situation, and there is a confidence that he will be on the move out of Spurs before the Monday deadline. And also it was widely reported that Newcastle were going quite heavily in for Jesse Lingard. That move has fallen through. Well, it is in the process of falling through, and apparently Dele Alli is going to be their kind of backup target for Jesse Lingard. So if we can create a bit of a bidding war with Newcastle involved, let's go for it.
Yeah, I wouldn't be surprised if the wages are a bit too much for the likes of Southampton and Brighton. I think Everton could probably afford it, although they have wasted a lot of money in recent years on
they're being
players.
Strangled a bit by FFP, aren't they, Everton?
But they have rich owners,
yeah.
So maybe they could afford to pay his wages on a loan deal.
On a loan deal, yeah, potentially.
Yeah, I don't think any of this is to do permanent. I don't think we're letting go of Ali permanently here.
I think with Newcastle there could be potentially an option there with some good money.
Well, obviously, Tottenham, we're going to push for an obligation to buy. That's how Levy likes to do things. In terms of where I think Dele would be best fit, I think Brighton would be a good move for him. I really do, because I think the way Brighton play their possession-based football would definitely suit Dele Alli a lot more than how we've played under the past couple of years under Mourinho and now Conte, where it's not so focused on always keeping possession and dominating the ball all the time. Where if he was at Brighton in a bit more of a fluid system, maybe in one of the front three positions or in an attacking midfield position where the likes of Pascal Gross and Lallana have been thriving for Brighton, I think he could do fairly well there. That's my pick for him.
Southampton, they like to play attacking football sometimes.
They do, but they're very fast-paced, intense, direct. I think, and they like also their formation they like to play. I don't see where he would fit in unless he's playing in one of the two striker positions up top. I don't see him being in the wide positions.
Yeah, they play 4-4-2.
Exactly. I don't see him being a winger. I don't see him being a Ward-Prowse or Romeo or whoever they play in centre mid either. I kind of see him being a bit lost in that team. Newcastle, I see him getting a lot of game time, and I see him adding a bit of quality to their attack. But whether he would thrive there, the way he would thrive in a settled system like Brighton's system, I reckon he might get a few goals at Newcastle. But I don't think long term, well, maybe long term he'd be better. I don't think he would be unbelievable though. I don't think he can make an impact like Lingard can.
No, I agree, and I was just thinking about him going to one of these teams like a Newcastle, and I don't really see him being up for the fight for a relegation battle.
No, neither do I. So if I was him, I would try and get that move to Brighton. Everton, also another team who like to play 4-4-2. They like to play Calvert-Lewin and Richarlison up front. So whether that changes now, they've got a new manager.
It buys into Everton's philosophy of buying these kind of washed-up Premier League players, though, doesn't it? Iwobi, Walcott, these kind of players.
They've done it a lot, haven't they?
Damari Gray. I mean, he's not washed up, but he didn't do well at Leicester.
I guess it could lead to a change of formation for.
I mean, the list is endless with Everton.
Yeah, it's so right. That's very true. It could lead to a change of formation for them if they can play maybe Richarlison out on the left, Calvert-Lewin up front with Dele Alli just in behind, and maybe Townsend on the right. Maybe that could be a system that could work for them. I see Dele being decent at Everton, but I think if I was him, I think Brighton might be the best place for him. That's why I would pick. But can Brighton afford him?
That's the thing.
100 grand a week. It's unlikely unless we pay. I
do see Newcastle as his most likely option, though.
Just monetarily, isn't it? That's the reality. We'll.
What have you seen, Tim?
Then we'll get into the next story soon, then, which is interesting.
Wow. All right. Well, luckily we are moving on to Tanguy Ndombele next. We've just had actually some news from Julian Maynard from Telefoot. A tier 1 source says Valencia have reached an agreement with Tottenham Hotspur for a 6-month loan move for Tanguy Ndombele, which is very interesting.
He goes on to say the Spanish club are pushing to sign him, but for now, Ndombele still favours a move to PSG.
Yeah, well, wouldn't you?
But let's get into the PSG updates, because so that's a very surprising news to hear that a club like Valencia have agreed a deal for him. But obviously, seeing as he prefers a move to PSG, what's holding that move back?
Well, let me bring you through the stories of what's been happening over the last 24 hours with Tanguy. Yesterday, Sami Mokbel says that PSG duo Gigi Wijnaldum and Draxler are both open to swap deals that could see them end up on loan at Tottenham, with Tanguy Ndombele or Dele Alli going the other way. Le Parisien says Tanguy Ndombele's proposed move to PSG is slipping away. The French club need to make space in the midfield, and is increasingly looks like they will not be able to do so. Dan Kilpatrick says that Spurs, Ndombele, Pochettino and Mbappe all want the move, but there are concerns at PSG about the size of their squad, and the move could depend on them offloading players first. So obviously this move is a move that all parties want, but it's just a case of PSG being able to offload a midfielder or two, from my understanding.
Yeah, and I think, did you read the Dan Kilpatrick? Yeah, so that's the problem. Obviously, Tottenham would love one of their midfielders to come to us in an exchange, whether it be Draxler or Wijnaldum or Pereira. Apparently Paredes we looked at as well,
and Herrera,
and Herrera as well. But apparently none of them want to come to us, and if that's the case, there's nothing much Tottenham can do unless PSG really try to force them out the door, or Tottenham can really convince one of them to come. It's going to be very, very difficult to do from that point of view, because because of the money involved. Although it's interesting that Dan Kilpatrick has said in his article that Ndombele is on far less than the reported 200 grand a week.
Yeah.
That is widely reported.
It's interesting.
Which, if that's true,
everywhere you look, it says he's on 200 grand a week.
Yeah,
literally everywhere.
That's what they said when he signed as well. That he was on 200 grand a week. So whether I don't know what to believe when it comes. Maybe it's to do with appearance bonuses and stuff like that, and seeing that he hasn't made many appearances or 90 minutes. Maybe it's a case of he hasn't hit anywhere near those bonuses that people are expecting. Because maybe when you're signing a player with all these bonuses, because you're signing him for so much money, these bonuses are just naturally you're expecting them to be hit, like appearance fees and all that kind of stuff. But maybe because he's been such a disaster, he's got nowhere near those appearance bonuses that is expected, and maybe that's why he hasn't actually been getting 200 grand a week. But it'll be interesting to see what his base rate is.
Yeah, I would love to know.
Must be over 100 at least.
You would like to think so. I mean, not you would like to think so, but you would think so.
Yeah, you would think so. It has to be over 100. But I was looking at the PSG squad, and it's difficult to see who leaves right now there to make space for him, because it sounds like they just got they've got a squad of 30 players, and they can only register 25 for the Champions League, so there has to be some give and take in terms of their squad, so it's very difficult. But this deal for Valencia is very interesting.
What do you make out of it? If
it's agreed, then I think if the PSG thing falls through, then maybe that can happen. I don't see them paying any sort of money in terms of option to buy at this point, unless he absolutely smashes out in Spain. But maybe
I can see him doing really well in Spain.
How Valencia doing this season in La Liga?
I'm not too sure, to be honest. I don't think they're doing.
They haven't been doing well for a while, if I remember. They're not in the top 5. They're 10th. They're currently 10th in the league, so he goes into that team looking to, again, reinvigorate a struggling Valencia side. I mean, I guess if he's got no option, he would have to move there. If Spurs aren't interested in keeping him that badly, and I can only think that the deal's agreed if they've agreed to pay 100% of his wages. So that's interesting, if that's the case.
It's mad, because you didn't think that Valencia would have that kind of money to throw around.
But we heard yesterday that the hold-up for the PSG, or part of the hold-up for the PSG deal being agreed, is that Levy wants a permanent thing. So maybe they have agreed an option to buy in there with Valencia if things go well.
But we've also heard that this Amrabat deal is hedging on Ndombele going out. So maybe he's kind of pushed that kind of obligation to buy to one side just to get him out, to bring Amrabat in on loan for the rest of the season, which is nuts if you ask me. But
it looks like whether it be PSG or Valencia, he'll definitely be on his way out. I think so. But I think it's good. It's good news that Valencia have also come in, because it means there's another option. We're just not solely reliant on PSG, and also it does kind of put the onus on PSG a bit if they really want him. It kind of puts the ball in their court now and say, look, we've got this other deal agreed. If you really want this guy, you're going to have to push the bar out a bit, because we're just going to loan him out to Valencia.
Yeah, I mean, hopefully Poch can do his convincing skills on Wijnaldum and tell him Spurs is a great place to go from now until the end of the season.
Yeah, I'd love it. I would love it,
because I think that would be the perfect move for us right now. GG Wijnaldum from now until the end of the season. I mean, the guy's got everything. The guy's literally got everything. He's got goals in his games. He's got solidity in his games. He's got energy in his game. I mean, the guy would be brilliant for us from now until the end of the season. He really would.
And actually, there's just another update here.
What, Jack?
No. What did I just see? On Ndombele. Tanguy Ndombele is waiting for certainty that he won't join PSG before he gives his answer to Valencia. He wants PSG, and that's from the PSG hub, which is from PSG ITKs basically, and another Eurosport journalist for RMC, Loic Tanzi. So sounds like this Valencia deal has legs. Looks like this could be happening if PSG doesn't work out. So that's so it looks like we're not just relying on PSG now for Ndombele to go, which was, a few days ago looking like if it wasn't PSG, you might have to stay, which would be bad.
Look, it's good that we've got a few clubs coming in. Maybe another club will come in as well. There's still a while to go left of the window. But as it stands right now, we've got 2 clubs interested in taking Tanguy and Ndombele quite heavily. The PSG deal hinges on them getting players out the door. I'm not sure what the Valencia deal hinges on. We haven't heard like in that much depth of what the nooks and cracks of the Valencia deal, but at least we've got more interest from Valencia. But that is the Tanguy Ndombele situation. Let's move on to Japhet Tanganga. Charlie Eccleshare this morning says that Tanganga is expected to stay at Tottenham now this month, with AC Milan focused on midfield and attack. Spurs were always wary of letting him leave, and they're not prioritising, bringing in another centre-back this January.
Yeah, it makes sense.
So, I mean, that's just done then. I think Tanganga's most likely going to stay.
Yeah, and I think if we're not going to sign any centre-backs this window, he has to stay. And it sounds like AC Milan are not prioritising him at the moment anyway, so... Yeah, I think it's good he's hanging around. He's always a decent option despite his poor form of late. I still think that he can play in those centre-back roles as a backup and do okay. And hopefully he will learn from his recent experiences of being in the first team when he gets his next chance, because I think now Romero and Diaz are back, I think his chances will be limited. But when he gets his next chance, hopefully he'll take it a lot better than he has recently.
Yeah, and we were hearing earlier on in the window that there was... interest in Rodon, but that's gone very quiet, hasn't it?
Yeah.
That's gone extremely quiet. I mean, the guy gets even less game time than Jaff, so, I mean, surely if we're going to get him out the door, we don't necessarily need another player to come in.
Yeah, it could be one. It could be one if Rodon leaves. It might be a late one as well, because I reckon we'll be very open to a loan move for him. So it'll be interesting to see what happens with that. But I think it's best for Jaff, because he's versatile, to stay for now if we're not going to sign anyone. So sounds like that's best for everyone.
Yeah, and the last bit of news we have for you before we start bringing callers in is Jack Clarke. So the update I was going to give you is that Jack Clarke is having a medical at Sunderland today, but that medical is now complete and he is a Sunderland player. Is that on loan, or is it... it's
a loan for the end of the season.
For the remainder of the season with League One Sunderland. So what was that, 3 years after we signed him for 10 million, he goes on loan to League One?
Yeah, I mean, he's had a number of loan moves, hasn't he? It hasn't really worked out anywhere for him. But I know, albeit he's actually been in good form for the under-23s. So I've seen every time that I look at a result from the under-23s, he seems to have either got a goal or assist more often than not.
Just like Markande.
Yeah, but when you're Jack Clarke and you've been signed for 10 million and you were doing decent at Leeds in the Championship 3 years ago, I'm sure him doing well in the under-23s.
He wasn't hardly getting in the Leeds side when we signed him this year. No,
the year we signed him, he was like a sub and he sometimes started and he scored a couple goals, basically. Yeah. And so, and clearly, I think Potter and Bielsa have a tight relationship, so I'm sure there would have been conversations where Bielsa was like, look, this kid's very talented and that kind of stuff, and you should sign him. So
Leeds fans were baffled that we signed him for that much.
I thought 10 million was really surprising, to be honest, at the time. But look, let's hope this loan deal is the one where he can start really progressing in the first team for a team, because it hasn't worked at all at Tottenham, and hopefully he can take his under-23 form into the League One. Yeah. Good luck to Jack.
Definitely. Good luck to Jack Clarke. And he will be alongside as well another Spurs Academy, a Spurs Academy graduate in Dennis Serkin.
Yeah.
2 players up there. And obviously Jack Clarke is from that way as well. He's up from the Leeds. So he made a statement saying, he's up from that way. He knows how much of a big club Sunderland is, and he can't wait to get started. But
and just quickly talking about the Adama deal.
Oh, go on.
So obviously Simon Stone from BBC said there's no progress. And Paul O'Keefe has commented on that, saying the deal is there to be done. It's just for Tottenham to greenlight, and it's been done for days. Just Tottenham is still yet to decide whether they really want the deal. I don't know what the hold-up is.
It's probably one of these things where Paratici goes for 20,000 players.
That's what he said. He said Paratici is talking to at least 15 agents at the moment. It's how he works. He tees up multiple deals and will go for the few when it's decided. So I guess we'll wait and see how that one plays out. But that's probably what the hold-up is with the Adama deal. But I don't understand. If we're bringing him in to play right wing back, just bring him in. There shouldn't be anything.
Unless we've got another right wing back that nobody knows about, that Paratici's speaking to. That's the only thing I can think of that's holding it up.
Yeah, I don't know. We haven't heard about any other right wing backs.
That's what I'm saying. But he's saying he's speaking to 15 agents. We don't know of 15 players that we're linked to right now.
Yeah, true.
So it could be anyone.
We'll see.
Let's start bringing on some guests. Who have we got first? Mikey. Yes, Mikey. How are we doing?
I'm all good. Got back into the country 2 days ago, and been trying to keep up with all the transfer news that's been going around. Of following all of the major Instagram accounts, Fabrom, Dan Kilpatrick, Ali Gold, all of the Spurs Insta accounts, and I'm seeing a lot of news about suddenly out of nowhere I saw Spurs had submitted a 45 million deal for Luis Diaz, and that was quite surprising to me because I knew he was a major target for Liverpool, I believe, at the beginning of the beginning of the January transfer window. So yeah, but I have to say I've been very disappointed with our business. What business? There has been zero business. We've let out Jack Clark. I just saw the alert, and that's been it. I've seen reports that Paratici is Tottenham are looking to be the busiest, club over the last week of the transfer window, and I wish we wouldn't do it like this. Like, I remember I was on at the beginning, and you lot were saying by the time it gets to the 15th, if the deals haven't been done, then you start to worry. And now we're sitting here on the 26th with 4 days to go until it slams shut, and you're thinking, well, maybe Brian Daigle was right. Maybe we were right to be worried from the start. And
is there any hope? There's obviously a lot of links to Luis Diaz and Amrabat and Adama Traore and all these things. What deals are you hoping to get done before the end of the window?
What deals am I hoping to get done, and what deals I think we will get done are two different things.
We'll answer both.
All right, well, I mean, I'll give you a troll answer. I'd love to see Jude Bellingham come to Tottenham, but obviously if we're being realistic here, the Amrabat deal seems like we need it if we're looking to get rid of our three creative midfielders in Gio Lo Celso, who I don't know if that Sevilla link is still there. I know that we're looking, obviously, Ndombele's got Valencia and PSG, and obviously, Dele Alli has his admirers at Newcastle and Everton. So if we're looking to get rid of our creative midfielders and bring in Amrabat is probably not the best move, but I guess you could say for what we need, it is what it is. It's not a bun. It's not a storming deal, is it? But it's a deal. But I'm flipping between. At least we're getting deals done. To is it the right deal to get done? Like, is Amrabat's work rate worth the talent that we're losing, letting Ndombele go? I guess that's for you guys to have your opinion, and I personally think it is, because I think Ndombele has been. It's his wages more than anything. You just need to get him off the books. But the Diaz and Adama deals would be ones I'd love to see get done.
And in terms of Luis Diaz, is there any? Do you think there's any hope this deal can actually happen, or do you think it's another one of these deals where Levy, for PR purposes, underbids for a high quality player, and then when it inevitably gets rejected, he can just say, "Oh, we tried to sign him."
No, I think Conte genuinely wants this. I think they're trying to get it done. I don't think it's the last gasp. We need this shit. I think they do want this deal, because for them it marks a player that has done it. Like, if Liverpool were linked with him, then he must be good. To replace, if you're being looked at to cover for Mo Salah and Sadio Mane, then you must have something about you. And he's looking to make that his preferred front three, with Luis Diaz on the left, maybe Son on the right, because he's played there before. Obviously, Son's more accustomed to playing on the left, but pushed Son out to the right and came to the front. Now, that is a very good front three, in my opinion. And obviously, if you're bringing in Adama for left back, it gives us an option of Lucas and maybe a Steven Bergwijn off the bench, rather than having to just have 3 options and then 1 off the bench with Bergwijn or Mora, whoever plays in, whoever doesn't, with Kane and Son pretty much starting every game. It would give us an attacking outlet that we don't have as of yet, because Diaz gives the pace and power that, not power, but he gives enough of technical quality to be able to have an improvement on what we currently have. And Adama at right wing back would, I don't think it would solve our problems because he's not the best defensively, but you know, he's better going forward than Emerson is. So I guess you could say they're the players that we need.
Well, apparently Adama's deal was ready and waiting. Tottenham just have to give the green light on the deal before we
Just need to push the
before we
button.
sign off. Exactly, just push the button. What do you think the hold up is? Do you think we could be looking at other players before we give the green light on Adama? Should we just go ahead with it? What do you think?
I think this is another example of Paratici having too much going on at once. If the Adama deal is greenlit, if the Adama deal is ready to go, I don't understand why it hasn't been greenlit. It's if there's some kind of hold up from Tottenham's end, maybe, because that's usually the thing. Maybe they started to get the deal done, and Daniel Levy at the last minute said, actually, no, we're going to try and shake him down for 5 million less. You know, that, I know obviously that's an exaggeration, but that's what it feels like most of the time when our deals don't get done. It's like Levy's purposefully trying to say, we'll push it right to the edge and then stop it, because like he's done this before when it's all been agreed, everything's set, and all of a sudden he tries to get 5 million less, and the club just gets fed up and go away with him. So I'm hoping that it's us being too active to focus on one deal at a time, rather than Levy holding up and saying, well, we need some more time to deliberate this. That's what I'm hoping, but it wouldn't surprise me if Levy's just gone, actually give it a couple of days, we need to think about it some more. I really wouldn't be surprised if that's the case.
All right.
All right, Mikey, thanks for calling in today. We shall speak to you soon. Hopefully by the next time we speak to you, we'll have some signings through the door. That's not just Sofyan and Amrabat. But yeah, thanks for coming on today, mate.
Come on, you Spurs, as always.
Come on,
Mikey.
All right, who do we have next? We got Leah. Leah,
Calling you
Mikey's
separately.
girlfriend,
Look
right?
at that. Yeah. I think you're on mute.
Sorry, everyone. Hi.
Hi, you all right?
How you doing?
I'm good. I've just been really following Tottenham's transfer plans, and I've been finding it really interesting. So I decided to come on myself and talk a bit about it. I'm even taking time off work to come on the live stream. I'm really excited for it. So yeah.
So what are your thoughts? What have you been thinking about?
I think that the best transfer move right now is obviously Luis Diaz and Adama Traore, but I think the Adama Traore transfer is very unrealistic. And what I think is right for Tottenham right now is to focus on one transfer rather than look through different players. So, yeah, that's like that. These are my thoughts.
And you're a PSG fan, right?
Yeah.
So obviously we spoke about Tanguy and Ndombele going to PSG. There is another offer now in Valencia, which has probably brought a smile to your face in terms of him going to Valencia. But a few players from PSG, I mean, it's rumoured that PSG need to get players out the door before bringing in a player. Would you accept maybe a Gigi Wijnaldum going for Tanguy and Ndombele to come in?
I think that I think Wijnaldum will be the best choice, but I think even if you manage to get Paredes, that will be satisfying enough, because Paredes is he's amazing. He's technical. He's a really good player, and I think if you manage to get him, that would be a really good move for Tottenham.
What's going on with Wijnaldum at PSG? Because he only signed 6 months ago, yet there's a lot of rumours of him leaving. Why do you think that is? I
mean, Wijnaldum, I don't think Wijnaldum feels completely comfortable at PSG at the moment. I'm not exactly sure why. I just feel like PSG is not the place for him. So I think that if he leaves for Tottenham, I won't be sad. I'll be rather happy because I think he'll feel more comfortable in the Premier League again.
And there was another player actually who said could be open to a loan move to Tottenham in Draxler, and he's obviously a player who's been at PSG for a while now. Do you think he could be a good signing for Tottenham, and would you be happy to see him leave PSG?
I would be happy to see him leave PSG. Yeah, I don't think we need Draxler, honestly, but will he be a good fit for Tottenham? I think he'll be just good enough, not spectacular, nothing amazing, nothing wonderful. He'll be just good enough.
And what kind of position he plays? He plays a bit on the attacking midfield, doesn't he? And he doesn't get much game time for PSG.
He's an attacking midfield, yeah.
And because all the talent you have, Messi, Neymar, he doesn't really get much game time.
I think that many players in PSG are just really unnecessary. Like, they're unnecessary in the squad, and I really want to get them out of PSG. Not because I don't have anything personal against them. I just want to see them actually play where they get game time and where they deserve to play to show off their talents. And Draxler is one of them. Like, for PSG, he doesn't seem as good, but I think in a team like I'm not sure, like a team like Valencia, maybe he'll be really good, because PSG, he's just among many stars and he can't shine bright enough.
And with Ndombele, apparently there's now an agreement with Valencia that he could be going there on loan, as well as a potential deal for PSG. If he does go to Valencia, would you be annoyed with PSG for not getting it over the line?
Honestly, a little bit, right? But I won't be furious. I think even if he goes to Valencia, that'd be great.
Do you think it'd be great for him?
For him, yeah.
All right.
I actually think Ndombele, if he was to join PSG, I think he'd be brilliant there. I really do. I think if
Ndombele, if he joins PSG, I don't think he'll be played straight away. I think he'll stay on the bench for a few games and then start playing, obviously. But I think he'll be all right. Yeah, he won't be amazing.
You got to remember, yes, his attitude is not the best sometimes. Well, a lot of the times, yeah. But Pochettino was the one to bring him into Tottenham. Obviously, they've got some sort of a relationship, and his technical ability is literally second to none, probably in Europe in that sort of position. I think he's such a talent.
He's really technical, yeah, and I think he gets along well with Pochettino, and it will be a good signing from PSG if they do that.
All right, Leah, thanks a lot for coming on. We'll speak to you very soon.
Good chat to you, Leah.
Bye.
We'll see you soon.
So that is Leah. And now let's bring on the Daigle, Mr. Brian Daigle. How are we doing?
I'm okay, chaps. How are you?
Yeah, I'm all right. Trying to sift through all the news this morning. New deals on, deals off, deals on, deals off. It's just the same old, isn't it, Brian?
Another day in paradise of being a Spurs fan. I've got to say, with that, the European expert, is it Jack? Was his name Jack?
Yeah, Jack, yeah.
Yeah, so Jack comes on and gives us a really good insight into the Fiorentina guy, Amrabat. And people still believe that's Conte's first choice and he wants him. A guy that cannot get into the Fiorentina squad, and apparently that's who he wants.
Surely no one actually believes it, Brian.
Yeah, well, I wouldn't put it past people. It's just a nonsense. It's just an absolute nonsense. And how people think we can't find 5 million for Traore, but somehow we can find 40 million for Diaz, is beyond me.
Well, we're hearing the Traore deal is done. We just need to push the button to give the go-ahead.
Ben, I spoke to you about this yesterday. I've watched your update about 50 odd times where you go, this deal is imminent. As you said, from January the 1st.
Yeah.
Get it done. Get it goddamn done. What are you waiting for? What are you waiting for?
Well, we are hearing Paul O'Keefe, who does seem to have some sort of insights. He says Paratici is currently speaking to 15 different agents. So maybe he's speaking to an agent of another right wing back that maybe he thinks that could be more suited to us.
Yeah, but Ben, it's all well and good doing that during the window, but not on the 26th of January.
Yeah.
It's unacceptable. We've got a month where we've played Chelsea 3 times. We should have been playing the filth. We had the extra game with Leicester. Really, really important games. And there has been nothing to help them out. Nothing. So when we could have done bits and maybe made a bit of a stride for the top 4 and really cemented ourselves in that chase, we are where we are.
Yeah, I mean, someone just called me a Levy apologist in the chat. I don't know how accurate that one is.
Widely, as promising as us signing players.
Yeah. Luis Diaz. Obviously, yesterday we brought you the news that we put in a bid. Today doesn't seem like that much of a positive update on him. I mean, are you expecting anything from this one?
As I said in our groups, welcome to the final week of the Daniel Levy bullshit auction, where we'll put in bids for people in random positions way below their price, way below their club's value, just so we can go, oh, look, we tried, we're making moves, with none of them coming off. Absolutely none of them.
And it seems like the same story every time, whether it's image rights or £10 million difference or this or that. It's just so, it just drives me up the wall. It's just the same thing every time, isn't it, Brian?
Every single time. And that's the thing. I come on and I say it every single time. Do you know what? People on Arsenal Fan TV and other channels, when their teams are doing shit, say, you could just play my video from last year. Yeah. Just play it again. Same thing. Well, hello. Play any of my videos and it's the same thing. It's the same thing every single time. Whilst this guy is in charge, it will never, ever change.
And
but in terms of Ndombele, apparently reports now saying we've agreed a deal with Valencia for a 6-month loan deal, while with the deal with PSG still kind of in the balance. Do you think that one is a one where it looks like that's going to go for? He'll go somewhere, won't he, in Ndombele, do you think?
I hope so, but you got to remember, Simeon, we were selling him to PSG on loan on a 6-month deal, but then Parasite said, no, I want a permanent deal. So now all of a sudden Valencia can have him on loan. Nothing makes sense. Nothing. How have Valencia got that?
It has become apparent that PSG need to get players out the door before they can bring in Ndombele.
Yes, maybe it's being used as a buffer to try and get PSG to get a wriggle along, because I think we can be assured he wants to go back home to France. And like you said, in PSG, he'll thrive.
Yeah.
He'll absolutely thrive. And let's face it, he wants to go back home. He said he's homesick when he's here, so going to Spain isn't really going to cure that, is it?
No.
Yeah, you're probably right about that, Brian. But with 5 days left, what do you think will happen from now to the end of the window? What's your Daigle prediction?
Adama possibly in, and hopefully Dele out.
Just that.
And I just see the main thing. I think the one thing that I can assure that we'll be gathering pace is obviously the work at the training ground and what's coming up on Monday and everything. That's it, because this has got to stop. Even if we get a couple of players in the door, that make up for 21 years of treating this club and disrespecting the fans the way that he has been. It's got to stop. So I can honestly only see Adama coming in, and it'll be a last-minute thing, and then everyone will go, woohoo, we got a deal in, and it's not good enough.
Yeah.
Not good enough.
We back at the training ground tomorrow?
I will be. I'm babysitting my niece for the first part. I think Graham and Ryan will be there in the morning. I should be there by late morning, early afternoon, and then we're there all day Friday, all day Saturday, all day Sunday, and there from 7:30 a.m. on Monday till 11 p.m. or 1 a.m. the next day, if we have a bill going through and it requires that 2-hour extension. So it could be, or it's going to be a very, very long day. But if we have that deal going and it's a 2-hour delay, then it could be an even longer one. But we'll be there.
Well, if you guys can't get down there, we've already had an amazing gesture from Philly Ali, who wants to send food to Brian and, just send their love to the cause that is Brian fighting the good fight for all of us, really. So yeah, if you guys want to help out the cause and send Brian a little gift or send Brian some food to help him, you know, he's going to be there for a long time on deadline day. So I'm sure any help will be welcome, won't it, Brian?
It will be most welcome, especially because every single day I've been freezing my bloody ass off. But you got to do what you got to do. You got to do what you got to do. So any help will be appreciated. And if you can't get down to the training ground and you do feel strongly about this, then just retweet everything, not just from me, that everyone, and I do mean everyone.
We've got an important super chat that's just come in from the great Bob Spur TV. Love
Big
seeing
Bob
him.
Spur.
Bob. We miss you so much, Bob. We can't wait till we can get you back on the channel, see you face to face. But what he says is, great to see my 3 favorite boys on live. I'm glad I'm slowly on the road to recovery, and here's hoping to sitting. Thank you for all the love and wishes. Bob, the love and wishes are going to keep coming your way. We're loving that you're sending us, you're watching us, and you're sending us super chats. But
big up, Bob. That's
we just
great.
cannot wait till you're back here with us, man. We just cannot wait.
Can't believe he's watching us on live. Absolutely brilliant news, and I'm so happy that he's able to send in the super chat, and he's able to show he's slowly but surely on the road to recovery. Can't wait to get you back on the calls and back in the studio, Bob. It's can't wait. Honestly, can't wait.
Yeah, and also, Bob, piss off, mate.
Exactly. All I can say is I've nicknamed this man Superman because he is just everything he goes through, the heartache, the grief, the health conditions. This guy just fights. And I told him, and I think I told Ben, and I'm now going to say it on here so everyone knows and Bob can't get out of it. When he is back, and when he is fit enough to come on a stream, he knows what I'm about to say, Ben does. We're going to have him on our stream one day on Tottenham on Tour. And we're going to do a show just about Bob being back, and only when he's fit and ready, whether he wants to talk Spurs or thank everyone. But again, what we're going to do is, because Bob's been out for a long time and he's got his kids, obviously, and rent and everything to pay, we're going to do a show where every single super chat is going to Bob and Kim and Tammy and the kids. So there will be a show. Ben and Simeon, you'll be on it. I spoke to you, Ben. And it'll just be a show dedicated to Bob and everyone pouring in with his their love and thoughts of him. And like we said, every single super chat or anything that comes in is going straight to him to help him get back on his feet when he comes out.
I've actually got a good idea about it, Brian, which I'll speak to you off air about.
No worries.
But yeah, I think thanks for coming on, my friend, and we shall speak to you very soon.
We most definitely will. And as always, Levy.
Come on, you Spurs. Rambro with the super chat saying, big up Bob Spur, glad to see you're on your way back, mate. Shake it easy and get back to 100%. Absolutely spot on there. Absolutely spot on. Let's go over to our next guest, Bryce. How we doing, Bryce?
What's going on, guys? Good morning over here. Awesome news about Bob. Yeah, that's what we're all hoping for, right? So that's incredible to hear. Before we actually get into anything, I just want to thank you guys for what you do for all of us. I've been here the past 5-6 years, so I'm still relatively new to the club and really just football in general. So there's a lot of things that I'm still learning, and just kind of tactical things, nuances of the game and things like that. So forgive me if I sound, like an idiot occasionally. Feel free to call me out if you need to. But I've fallen madly in love with this club, over that time, and I'm checking one football app constantly. I don't miss a game. I'm ecstatic when we win. I'm completely irritable when we lose. You can ask my fiance about that one. But it's really you guys, that make all the difference when it comes to supporting this club. You give people like me who are not really immersed, daily in the football culture in England, being in America, and so you give people like me, like I said, a chance to really feel connected to the club in a way, and just the community, really more importantly, in a way I really wouldn't get otherwise. So you guys, and the rest of the community, you really reinforce my love for this club every day, through the good and bad, mostly bad recently. So, big up to you guys, and may it continue.
Well, thank you very much.
Thank you for those kind words, Bryce.
It really means a lot to us. It really does. But let's get into some transfer news. Let's start off, I guess, with Luis Diaz. We got the news last night that we've made a bid.
Right.
It's come apparent today that that might not be happening? I mean, run me through your thoughts of the whole situation.
I mean, you'd love to get a guy like him in, right? He's pretty versatile. I feel like we have some versatility up top. Bergwijn can kind of play a 9 role, can play on the wing. Moore can kind of be a wing up on 10. Sonny can play up top or on the wing. So adding another guy with versatility, importantly, goals, which you seem to be lacking this year a little bit, would be helpful and would be important for us. But I just don't think it's going to happen, right? I mean, they set out an asking price, and here we come in again, like 5 mil, 10 mil below it, right? So we never just go and get the guy, right? A club will put an asking price up, and we always have to come in just underneath it, just to save a few pounds or, so just go and meet the asking price and get the guy we want. I know we've said this all before, but somebody that I don't share the same sentiments about that I just talked about, is definitely Daniel Levy, he's got his hand in the club, I think, where he doesn't need to have it at this point. We brought in Paratici to do this exact job, and I don't think he's being given the chance to do his job. Levy should be completely hands off at this point and not have anything to do with transfers at all. It should be really down to Paratici and Conte to figure out what we need to do to improve the club, and that's it. Levy can run everything else, but yeah, I'd love to bring in Luis Diaz. I just don't think it's going to happen. It's just another one of those things where right before the deadline, Levy will put out the news conference to get the fans into it again, and then that'll fall apart. So, but I'd love to bring him in. Yeah.
Who wouldn't?
Yeah, you're definitely learning very quickly about how things go on with the owner, that's for sure.
Oh, yeah.
It's not hard to miss. Yeah, then we're just getting some updates. Romano is currently live on Matt Hayes' channel at the moment, and he said Porto have no intention of accepting a 35 to 40 million pound deal for Luis Diaz. Porto want 60 to 65 million. He's gone on to say that Porto want way more than what Tottenham have offered for Luis Diaz. That's what Fabrizio Romano is currently saying. Yeah. And that's just classic Tottenham, isn't it? Just as you say, underbidding for an important player, then not getting him over the line in the end. And what do you, if we don't get Luis Diaz, is that just going? Do you reckon there's only someone else lined up, or do you reckon it'll just go under one of those deals which have fallen away?
Say that again. You guys were cutting out. I'm sorry.
If Luis Diaz doesn't end up coming, or we don't end up having a bid accepted or anything, do you think we have, because Paratici likes to have other deals lined up, do you reckon we might have a backup, or do you reckon it'll just fall under?
I mean,
yeah, go on.
We've had Adama Traore right in line for about 6 months now, and we can't get that one across the line, so that would be a nice alternative, I guess you want to call it, even though we've well in advance of any Luis Diaz signing. So I would like to get Adama in, who brings a lot of pace, which I think we could use. So that would be an alternative. I would say that I would be welcome to bringing in. Amrabat, I guess, is coming in. I don't know. I mean, these are guys that I guess can do a job, and Amrabat more so. I mean, can do a job and can put a shift out there, and I guess provide some coverage to our other mids, but he's not really inspiring in any way. It's just a short-term loan, but again, it's something to just fill a gap. It's not something that's long-term, that we're making an intentional signing to really improve our club in the short term and long term. It's just a stopgap to where we're just kind of just keeping status quo, I guess, and just kind of hovering along. We're not improving. Making a signing like that would hurt us, I would feel like, if anything, but.
And Romano's also been staying on Matt Hayes' channel that we're going to bring in. He still expects us to bring 2 or 3 signings in before the end of the window. Do you still feel the same on that? Do you think we're going to bring in at least 2 or 3?
I mean, the other day I said I thought we were only going to bring in Adama. Who knows if that's even going to happen now? I would like to see it happen. Yeah, I mean, we need it. We need some reinforcements, if nothing else, just to kind of freshen up the squad. I mean, we're still going for an FA Cup, and we're still going for top 4, really. So we do need those reinforcements, and just getting Dele out, getting Ndombele out, I think is really important as well. But and getting guys like that out and getting rid of the toxic players in the club, we're not even really able to do other deals, like getting some of these younger players we have, Brian Hill, Roden maybe, Tanganga, loan deals, that could ultimately benefit their careers and us moving forward. We're so focused on like the here and now, we can't even think, forward about guys like that, which they provided some minutes for us, but ultimately they're not quite ready to contribute at the level we need them to. But we can't even think about deals like that. Focused on getting rid of, the deadwood and just trying to figure out what to do in the immediacy more than, thinking long term. So that's unfortunate as well.
Well, I guess we're just going to have to wait and see how it plays out over the next 5 days. But the clock is ticking, Bryce. The clock is ticking. Hopefully we'll get to speak to you over the next few days after actually making a few signings instead of just considering offers and being interested in players and what have you. But thanks for coming on, Bryce.
Absolutely.
Cheers, Bryce.
Take care, guys. Come on, you Spurs.
Come on, you Spurs. So that was Bryce. Do we have Tommy in the background as well? I think I saw Tommy.
Yeah, he's there.
Oh, there he is. Tommy talks ball. Tommy, how are we doing today?
Do you know what? I was really miserable at the start of the day, but seeing Bob in the chat again has just upped my spirits. It's upped my spirits once more. What a man. I've just got to say, with Brian Daigle, again, I'm shivering at home with central heating on. So for Brian to be at Hotspur Way again, to spend another, however long it is, 8 hours, is unbelievable. Those two together are like, and yourselves are sort of the pillar of the Spurs community. So seeing Bob in the chat is is absolutely marvellous. And the other day I was doing a stream of my own and he put a £5 super chat in. I've got a very small channel and I was like, what? I haven't heard from him in ages. And just brilliant to see him back. And I'm sure we'll see him on stream soon. So fantastic news.
It really is. It's so great to see him in the chat. It really is. I mean, it actually just brings a massive, it makes everything, all the signings and all that, just makes it all irrelevant when Bob's here.
It makes it trivial, doesn't it, boys? It makes it trivial, doesn't it? Definitely.
But let's move on and let's talk about some of the Spurs transfer news, or no transfer news, shall I say. Let's start off with Luis Diaz. I mean, it's been toing and froing. I mean, when you saw the news yesterday, first and foremost, what were your thoughts?
First and foremost, I didn't really know who the geezer was. And people that say they did are liars. I mean,
I knew who he was.
Well, no, we knew who he was, but who has literally watched him live? Who watches the Portuguese league? Really?
No, but he's had some really good performances in the Champions League over the past few years.
Oh, exactly. No, I've seen him a few times in the Champions League, but I'm not an expert on the guy. I'm certainly not an expert on the guy. And this is the situation. It's £60 million they want. And we've got two left wingers. We've got the best left winger in the world. We spent £35 million on Gil. Still hasn't started a Premier League game. And the response I'm getting is the guy's versatile. This Luis Diaz is versatile. He's never played up top. I looked at his previous 20 games. He's only played on the left, right? So predominantly a left winger. They said the same about Gil. He can play number 10. He can play up top. He can play on the right wing. Well, he hasn't. He hasn't started a Premier League game in any of those positions. And we spent £35 million on the player. Now, it's not Diaz I'm having a go at. It shows some sort of ambition to spend that sort of money. But the foundations are not there. We haven't signed a centre midfielder for 2.5 years, almost 3 years. Since Ndombele and Lo Celso, we need a centre midfielder. So, and Højbjerg as well. But he's not the most creative, is he? We haven't signed a creative centre midfielder for nearly 3 years, which is I see as the biggest problem right now. It's okay having these. The biggest problem isn't Kane and Son. It's supplying Kane and Son. There is an issue there, and releasing the wing backs. And we're looking at £60 million for a left winger, and everyone's getting excited. Not that it's going to happen anyway. we know it's probably not going to happen anyway. But it doesn't make a lot of sense to me. It's like a house. I'm in property development. So I look at the roof. The roof's good. The forwards are good. Let's improve the roof. What about the foundations? Look at the centre-back quartet we have. It's the worst centre-back quartet I've ever seen. We need to build in the foundations. We need centre midfielders in before we talk about more forwards and a third left winger for me. That's just my take on it.
Well, Tommy, talking about central midfielders, we're talking about getting rid of Tanguy and Ndombele to either Valencia or PSG and bringing in Sofyan Amrabat. Is he the answer then?
player to come out of nowhere that you think, well, Conte probably knows him, and he's probably thinking, oh, he may fit into this system, like, I don't know, Ashley Young and some of the players that you thought, and Ranocchia, Inter Milan, he was 33, 34, he was still getting in the team at times. So sometimes you don't get the most popular players, and if it seems too random for Conte to not have some sort of interest in him, if you know what I mean. So, yeah. I mean, but for me, it should be, if you want a left winger, you spend £8 million on the left winger and you spend £60 million on the centre midfielder, if you look at the current squad. That's the issue I have on it. The Kessie, Brozovic, Wijnaldum's fantastic. I love the Wijnaldum rumour. I'd love to get him in. That would be marvellous. At least to the end of the season. That's the sort of player we need, I think. Yeah, someone in the centre midfield. So, yeah.
So, but do you think... you think the Amrabat deal could potentially be one that could work for Conte?
Absolutely, because as I said, it's too random. It's too random. I'd done a stream last night, and people were saying, a few people in the stream and on the chat were saying he's sixth choice at Fiorentina. Yeah, this is Fiorentina. If he's sixth choice at Juventus or Inter or Bayern Munich, it's acceptable. But sixth choice at Fiorentina, it might have been exaggerated. I don't know much of the boy myself.
Well, he's only made one start this season, so it doesn't sound too exaggerated.
Has he really?
Yeah.
Has he really? So he's like a sub. He's like a sub, because I saw that he's made 42 appearances in two years or something. So yeah, he must be very much a sub for Fiorentina. That's worrying. That's worrying in itself. But I think Conte must have seen him and said, maybe he fits into the system somehow. Because as I said, it's just too random. As you said, one game start. So he might be one of the players that Conte feels like, okay, he can perhaps fit into the system. But it's safe to say we're not doing backflips about being linked to Amrabat. I don't think anyone is.
And also, Adama Traore, apparently Wolves are waiting for Tottenham to give the green light on the deal for Adama Traore, and Tottenham is still yet to decide whether they really want him. What do you think the hold-up is? And are you very interested in getting, are you desperate to get him through the door?
It's for me, it's clear. It's clear what the stumbling point is. It's money, isn't it? It's money. Levy's trying to get the deal, go into the last day of the window and try and take the £1 or £2 million away from what Wolves want, or the bid that's been accepted, because it looks like terms have been made. Traore's agreed the terms, they've agreed a fee, but Levy will go right to the end of the window to try and drop £1 or £2 million. Then I still think Adama's going to sign, but what will make me furious is if it's £20 million, because it's been reported at £20 million the whole window. If we end up signing for £20 million at the end of the window, we've had 6 games. We've had six games during January. We had to play Doherty at right midfield against Chelsea. Traore could have easily gone in there. So it's, if it's £20 million the fee, then I'll be absolutely furious. But I think we'll get it. I think we'll get it through. And I like Traore. He's okay. For £20 million, I think it's good value, considering it was £45 million in the summer. That was outrageous. £20 million, I'd be all for that. And I do think he'll come.
So Romano said on Matt Hayes' show today, 2 or 3 he still expects us to get in. Do you expect the same? I mean, you're saying Amrabat and Traore. What about a third?
Yeah, I think a Traore will go through. I hope so. I really, really do hope so. But I'm not convinced. We're 26 days in. And nothing has happened, quite frankly. But do you know what? I'm really happy about this. I wasn't aware of this Ndombele news until I came onto your show. So that's wonderful. That's wonderful. Because if we're getting him out, it means that we're getting someone in. The same with Dele.
Yeah, Amrabat.
The more players we get out, and Jack Clark, a right winger. We need a right winger. We sold Lamela and Bow. This is why I don't get the left wing situation. We sold 2 right wingers and we brought Gill in. Now we've got rid of another right winger in Jack Clark, and we're going to bring another left winger in. It doesn't make sense. But,
the life of a Tottenham Hotspur fan, Tommy.
Yeah, I'm just confused. I'm just in a confused state of mind right now. But I don't know where the one more will come from. I don't know where the one more will be. But it's as key to get the toxicity out, and then Ndombele is very, very toxic. So I wouldn't be too unhappy if it's just Amrabat and Traore go into the summer and we go crazy in the summer and spend a lot of money.
All right. Tommy, thanks for coming on, my friend. We shall speak to you next time.
Cheers, boys. Take it easy.
Nice one, Tommy.
Spurs, come on.
Interesting news coming out of Leon, which is all this up to his old tricks again. Leon have made a public statement categorically denying any agreement with Newcastle.
Basically, the deal's going to be done tomorrow morning.
That's what it usually means when that kind of happens. But classic
He does
all
this
every time.
single time Leon sell a big player.
He did it. He did it with Ndombele and Lloris. Did it with both of them.
Yeah.
I remember the Lloris one was unbelievable. Literally the night before deadline day, he's like, he's not going anywhere. We haven't made any agreement. Tottenham haven't even made a bid, and then like the next morning he's a Tottenham player.
If anything, that's a sign of it's definitely happening.
Yeah, honestly, when he says that he ain't leaving, it means he's definitely leaving. But there you go.
I think it's time. You know what time it is. It's Joracle time. Jory.
Hey guys. Hey.
Jory, right?
Yeah, I'm okay. Kind of like yet again having one of those I told you so moments, which, believe it or not, is not a satisfying feeling for me, because when I have those moments, it's usually something negative, and usually involves Levy. So I just wanted to, by the way, like, I think the news of the day for sure is that Bob Spur is back on the chat and hopefully soon back on the stream. So great news, and all the best to you, Bob. Really, I think all of us really makes our day to get that news. So thanks for that. But guys, I just wanted to go over like this is so like there was, I think it was Fabrizio. That was not Fabrizio. What's it called? Our favorite transfer journalist. What's his
Matt
name?
Law,
The Italian transfer.
Damasio Romano.
No. The journalist, the Italian transfer specialist. Come on, guys. Fabrizio Romano.
Yeah,
right?
Romano.
Yeah. Sorry.
It's all right.
You guys said that he was talking. Yeah, that Fabrizio said he was that Fabio Paratici is talking to 15 agents at this point, right?
I think Paul O'Keefe said that.
Yeah, Paul O'Keefe said that.
Okay, Paul. Okay. But let's that as fact. Even if it's Paratici doing the talking, even if it's a lot of great prospects, whatever. If you're talking to 15 agents at this point in the window, it's because of shit has gone on. Basically, it's because you didn't have a plan going into the window, or what little plan you had out the window pretty quickly, and to me it's absolutely clear what's happening here. Bullshit as always, and it's also scrambling through the bargain bins, trying to find the deal somewhere, and that's the sign of somebody who doesn't understand how to run football business. It's a sign of somebody who hasn't got ambition to succeed in this game, and I just said, how much of a fucking loser is Levy? Excuse my friends here, but how much of a fucking loser do you have to be to get Conte in because you were saving your skin and you actually managed to convince him through your probably very good football director, who is Paratici, get him in, and then you don't back him. Now that is the hallmark of a born loser, which you can't save. There's nothing you can do for such a person. They can't help themselves. I'm sorry to tell it, guys, but this is definitely what we're seeing here. And even like, because if now whatever, if Levy for some reason feels.
Sorry, I thought we lost you for a sec, but your picture seems to have crashed.
The connection's really bad though, for Jory. You've frozen.
Oh,
are you back there? There you go.
Oh, can you hear me now?
Yeah. You're quite laggy though.
All right, sorry guys.
Carry on.
Still laggy.
Carry on. Yeah, carry on.
Okay. No, but I was saying, like, even if we manage to get in top players like Kessie, like like a top creative midfielder, a good centre back, whatever. Even if we would get that at this point, for me, it's still, you've still shown all of us, and most importantly, you've shown Conte that you're a complete loser when it comes to this game, you know. So my only hope now is that Conte and Paratici are up for kind of getting the reins, you know, fighting for the control of the club, you know. If that happens, then we still have a chance of keeping Conte, I think. If they go in and try and convince the board to kind of sideline Levy. But the way this window's gone, I feel like Levy has full backing or confidence of having full backing from the board doing his Levy shit, you know. So it's a bad one, guys. I'm really fearful for us keeping Conte. I don't think unless Conte feels him and Paratici are getting the upper hand towards Levy, I think Conte is looking at an exit already, you know. So
how quickly do you reckon he'll go?
So I think he'll go in the summer. I think he needs these months to arrange it and to look at it. I think probably I can imagine that he would prefer to go straight into another job rather than take a hiatus. But I definitely think that I definitely think we've seen enough that Levy is still doing normal Levy stuff. So, and I don't believe in any way that Conte will accept that, you know. I don't believe that, you know. So he has to, in terms of you know, he doesn't have the person Levy, but he get out of this situation.
Sorry, Jory. I think the connection
Then
here is a bit too
looking at a
bad. You keep
situation
cutting
where-
off, Jory.
Apologies, Rory.
Jory,
Ah,
you keep
shit.
cutting off.
Okay, I'll try and call you back, guys. Okay.
All right, we'll speak to you soon, Jory.
All right, no worries. Yeah, try.
All right.
Disconnect. Yeah, try reconnect if we have another caller.
All right.
We'll go to
I'll
our
do
next
that.
caller, and then we'll try get Jory back on afterwards. Look who it is. Mr. Cody Mack, how are we doing?
Cody Mack. I'm all right, guys. How you doing?
Yeah,
Good to
all
see you,
good,
Cody.
man. All good. I mean, that tweet you put out last night made me very reminiscent and did make me forget about the transfer window for a little bit and talk about the good memories and think about the good memories. But back in the studio here talking all things transfers, which is not making me happy. Really isn't making me happy.
Yeah, you know what? I've committed the last 5% of my soul to just holding out for that last few hours of the transfer window and giving this ownership a chance to do the right thing and give Conte at least the tools to fight the battle that needs to be fought here. So I've got a little bit of hope, but let's face it, if you're looking at what's gone on at this football club historically, I don't think you can be surprised at what's gone on this month, but it certainly is disappointing. You know, I thought that Paratici coming in would have signaled a change in the way that we do business. It's looking like nothing more than just a masked Italian version of Levy to continue on being hard negotiator. And surely Conte would have been a sign of ambition, but really, if we're being honest, it's pointless if he's not backed. And I think that something needs to happen this month. You know, he needs to be given a proper tool to battle for top four and get us to the summer where maybe some more investment can happen. But watching some of these targets coming off the board, you know, I'm not going to sit here and say that every player that's been signed by other clubs are players that we should have been in for, but it is frustrating when, you know, there's so many people who are towing the line that January is an impossible time to do business and everything. It's just a load of crap, and we're seeing it happen all over again.
Yeah,
And
go on.
Yeah, I was about to say this Luis Diaz potential deal. Is this one for you, which is right out the Levy playbook, which is wait to the last minute, then have a massive underbid, and then you can claim that you tried to sign him?
Yeah, I mean, it's Lautaro Martinez all over again. It's Jack Grealish. It's Bruno Fernandes. It's all of these players that have been Dybala. You know, like, yeah, it's. I think fans are pretty fed up at this point. You know, I don't know what happens after this. The reality is, you know, I tweeted it this morning. I think this all started to rot when we went those 3 transfer windows without investing at all under Pochettino. You know, and you can justify that in your mind if you want, as far as, you know, having opened the new stadium and it went over budget and everything like that. But under this model where we operate only on revenue generated commercially and by the fans, there's just no playing catch up, and we've been stumbling and making poor decisions ever since then. Really, if you look at our transfer record over the last 6 years, it's absolutely abysmal. You know, when your best signing in the last 6 years, 6.5 years, has been probably Lucas Moura, it's unacceptable. And it's actually like kind of surprising that we've been able to maintain our league position as long as we have. But yeah, I just don't see how under this model, without any investment from the owners, we play catch up, especially when you have ambitious owners now pushing forward, like the likes of Aston Villa and Newcastle coming into the fold. It's hard to see how, if we don't get any investment from the ownership, that they don't eventually overtake us. It only seems like a matter of time. I know Newcastle are way off the mark right now, but we're looking at a squad right now that is not the greatest as we speak, and Kane and Son, if we're being honest, they're coming into the autumns of their careers. You know, Lloris, we're fortunate to have him for the next 2.5 years, but he's coming into the autumn of his career as a keeper. It's I don't want to like be a doomsday sayer here, you know, but
you wouldn't be the only
something
one,
has
Cody.
to change. Something has to change, because really, if you can't put your money where your mouth is and back Antonio Conte, who can you back, and where do we go if this fails? Like I said, I'm still holding on to a shred of hope that we can do enough in these final days of the window to get us to the summer, to fight and possibly get that last Champions League spot. But if some of our rivals get their shit together, if Arsenal make a move here, if United start clicking, which, you know, they're way too talented a team to be playing the kind of football that they're playing right now. We can't depend on them continuing to flounder. If any of those teams get their shit together, I don't see how we get that last spot.
Yeah, I agree with you. It's going to be very, very it's going to be very difficult, especially if we don't make some serious bids. And also when there are deals as well, which could have been done ages ago, like a Adama Traore. That could have been done right at the start of the window. And apparently we're still awaiting the green light from Tottenham's end. Apparently everything's in place, according to good, reliable sources. Everything's in place for the deal to happen. Yet Tottenham's still unsure whether to just push that button. I mean, what is holding up this deal? What could we be unsure about at this point when there's 5 days left of the window?
It has to be financially motivated. It has to be either we need to sell a player in order to fund the transfer, or we need to get a player off the wage bill in order to be able to afford what we want to offer Adama. It has to be financially motivated. Or, I mean, if you want to be super positive, maybe there's other targets that we're looking at that Conte wants more than Adama Traore. You know, I know that it hasn't worked out the best, but when you think back to the summertime, Brian Hill was a player that nobody had heard any rumors about when Paratici pulled the trigger on it. So maybe there are some irons in the fire, and that's like I said, that 5% of my soul that's holding out that this might be the reality, is that maybe we'll pull the carpet out from underneath some of our rivals and get one of these targets that could really change our fortunes this season. But I think, given the track record of the ownership, it's hard not to think that it's a financially motivated holding pattern on Traore.
Before you carry on, Cody, we've just got another super chat from Bob.
Big up.
And he says, there's no surprise in the business, in quotation marks, we're doing again. We'll end up getting a Traore and an Amrabat in to appease some fans. Love to you all. And then he says, Cody, thank you. What'd you say to that,
Big
Cody?
up, Bobby. Big up, Bobby. It's just, it's really, anytime I get wound up about Spurs, I remember that there are bigger problems in life that other people need to be dealing with, and it's not the end of the world if we don't sign any players. You know, family and friends and all those other things come first. So, you know, big love to Bobby. Listen, I think he's spot on. You know, at this point in the window, you're seeing a lot of people start to kind of panic that we might not even do anything. So you're seeing kind of the fish being dangled out in front of the fans and saying, well, listen, Adama would be better than nothing. Whereas at the beginning of the window, I think if you had told most fans if Adama was the only signing that we made, they would have been disappointed in the window. Now we're at the point in the window where, man, it looks like if we do, we might do nothing. And it's hard to know the mechanisms with which the club operate in terms of public relations and PR, media and rumors and whatnot. I don't think Adama would be enough to change our league position. You know, we're talking about a player who's been kind of phased out of Bruno Lage's starting 11. No other top clubs are in for him. We know what he brings. Conte is supposed to take this player who has never really been a regular starter at right back or right wing back and turn him into Victor Moses. You know, everybody's using the Victor Moses comparison. You know, it would be nice just for once if we went out and spent the money on a round peg for a round hole, one that could actually make a difference and just walk into our starting 11, not just our starting 11, but maybe, you know, Manchester United starting 11, a top 4 side starting 11. I think that's the quality that I've been kind of crying out for, and everybody else has too, since before the window even opened. But here we are, just looking at putting a square peg in a round hole and being under threat of doing no business. Adama Traore would be satisfactory to a lot of people, but you know, it's smoke and mirrors FC again.
Yeah, all over again. And, you know, a lot of fans calling for creativity from the midfield to bring in a midfielder, you know, that can create and score goals. The transfer, which looks like the closest to happening, is Sofyan Amrabat. I mean, is that a Conte signing? Is it Levy just trying to look at a cheap option? I mean, what is this with Sofyan Amrabat? Because he doesn't seem like he's a player that's desperately needed right now.
Well, you know, I'd be lying if I said I was an expert on Sofyan Amrabat, and I think most of us can. But, you know, in the last 24 hours, I've learned a little bit about the player. He's a deep-lying playmaker. He's not a defensive midfielder. You know, he's more like a number 6 that's going to build play from the back, you know, link up play between the center backs and the forward line. He's been phased out of the scene at Fiorentina. There's been a change of system there. Whereas last year and the year before they were playing the 3 at the back, and now they're playing 4 at the back. So he's kind of lost his place. So I could see it being Conte wanting him because it would be a player that he's familiar with. This was a player that 2 years ago was quite highly rated in the Serie A, and Conte would have been well aware of him. So I could see it being a player that Conte is pointing to and saying this could work. And listen. Let's be honest. If we loan out Ndombele and we bring in Amrabat, even if Amrabat doesn't play a single minute, have we lost anything? Not really. So if Conte is looking at this as a cheap option under the constraints that the ownership are putting him under, then I'm fine with it. You know, and it's just tough when it's a player that we're not really familiar with, that we don't really look at as being a game changer. But at this point, like I said, any change is better than no change, you know. Plus, also, Amrabat man.
But you know, it's just it just plays into that interview that Danny Rose did with The Sun all those years ago. You know, to Google everyone that comes in through the door. I mean, and looking at the business Newcastle are doing, they're about to bring in Bruno Guimaraes from Lyon. You know what I mean? And he's a top talent for 35 million or whatever. Why are we not looking at him?
Yeah, or even Julian Alvarez, from River Plate, Manchester City. I think they've pulled a blinder there. We all sit back and say, Man City, Oil Club, blah, blah, blah. They're just blunt force money being thrown around. But let's be honest, they're smarter than we are. And they've demonstrated that again with that type of transfer. They buy a lot of high profile players in that 17 to 22-year-old age, and they come through their system and they're brilliant. And, maybe it's easier for them to succeed being surrounded by the quality that they are. But when you compare some of their signings over the last 6 years to some of ours, there's no comparing it. Bruno Guimaraes, listen, I'm not going to sit here and say that I know ball, because I don't. Most players I've never seen play, and I rely on other Spurs YouTube channels and TIFO and YouTube compilations and Football Reference and all these different and you guys, to learn more about these players. But Guimaraes is supposed to be the real deal. That's why you look at what's going on in this window, and the likes of Villa and Newcastle making moves and backing their managers. It's hard to watch. It really is. Guimaraes seems like the type of player that we should be all over, and he probably walks right into that midfield and changes the way that we play. Now, whether he would be a Conte target is another question. I'm really trying hard just to hold out belief and trust that Conte is being given the opportunity to sign some players that he specifically wants, because if we continue on with our transfer policy of opportunistic buying with the hopes of being able to grow a player's value and potentially sell them on later, we've seen how that's ended. That 2019 window is the stuff of nightmares.
Literally. I mean, it started off as the stuff of dreams, and now it's the stuff of nightmares. Just before we let you go, I want to get your prediction. Next 5 days, how many in and how many out?
I think conservatively it would be 2 in, 2 out. I think we'll hopefully find a solution for 2 out of Dele, Tanguy, and Giovanni Lo Celso, and then the 2 in. Probably get Traore over the line, and we'll probably get Sofyan Amrabat on loan, if I'm being honest. But I think there's an outside chance that Paratici has an ace up his sleeve, and I'm just grasping at those last threads, those last straws to get me through the next 5 days, because it's minus 30 degrees Celsius out in Canada right now. I'm completely miserable. I can't wait for this month to be over. I just want to be done with transfer rumors. It's amazing how much we can sit back and discuss nothing, because that's what's happened so far. We'd be better off just going to sleep on December 31st and waking up on Valentine's Day.
100%. And I'll tell Brian Daigle about the weather out in Canada before he complains again about the weather here in England. But Cody, thanks a lot for coming on, my friend, and we'll see you next time.
Yeah, it's good to see you guys. Glory, glory.
Up the Spurs, come on. I believe Stel wanted to come on. Is he in the back end?
I've sent him the link again. I don't know.
I sent it to him as well.
Fabrizio Romano just tweeted again, saying, where is that tweet gone? Let me just get it up. He says Tottenham are prepared to submit an official bid for Sofyan Amrabat, a loan with an option to buy of 16 million euros. Talks ongoing since Sunday. Player only wants Spurs move, and Conte appreciates Amrabat. Spurs need to offload Ndombele or Dele before signing a new midfielder. That's the latest on Amrabat from Fabrizio.
So nothing's changed.
Basically, yeah. Huh?
Is Stel there?
What?
Premier League clubs must have a minimum of 4 positive COVID cases.
Yeah, that's a new Premier League rule. Actually, that the Premier League
changed the rules now. Because Simon Jordan and Talk was adamant that they're not going to change the rules.
They have changed rules. Yeah, that you have to have at least 4 proof of 4 positive COVID cases before applying for a postponement.
Right.
So classic. As soon as the affects Tottenham, then they change it. So Arsenal got away with one.
Rule in football is literally it's like the Tottenham rule. That's what they should call it.
Literally,
anything that happens to Tottenham, we'll change it the day later or the week later or whatever it is. But yeah, I think that's it from us today, unless Stel is in the back. No, he's not. All right, fine. We'll get Stel on another time, I guess. But thank you, everyone, for joining us today. That is the state of play with 5 days to go. I'm sure a lot of news is going to be breaking over the next 5 days, to be honest, but I was talking specifically over the next 24 hours. As soon as we left the studio yesterday, it literally went into overdrive. So we'll have to see what happens today. But thank you, everyone, for coming on today. We'll see you all very, very soon. Like, subscribe, and comment. And as always, come on, you Spurs.